Today we're visiting the garden squares of London where my characters live and visit. Eccleston Square was fairly new in the 1850s. Sarah Cartwright has spent her whole life in tents and army barracks. When she arrives here, she climbs down from the hansom cab and stands in utter amazement. Sarah had never seen anything like it. The four-storey terraces marched away from her with their sun-drenched facades and their square porches jutting out at regular intervals. It was the most intimidating structure she had ever seen. The buildings seemed to barricade the sky. Sarah has an important rendezvous in the gardens, but the plants were much more sparse than they are now.
There were some young plane trees shading the walkways and benches, but nothing offered much cover. She would be quite obvious to any watchers in the houses. She found a shady bench near the rose garden and tried to keep calm while she waited.
We are on the hunt for the Wetherby family home in Grosvenor Square, but we are distracted by some familiar names along the way. Let's see if you can guess which garden square this is. That certain night, the night we met, there was magic abroad in the air.
There were angels dining at the Ritz,
and a nightingale sang in Berkeley Square.
I may be right, I may be wrong, but I'm perfectly willing to swear
that when you turned and smiled at me, a nightingale sang in Berkeley Square. There are no scenes in my novels in Berkeley Square.
We just wanted to sing the song in Berkeley Square.
Here's another distraction, the oldest pub in Mayfair. My characters could have stopped in for a pub lunch at the Coach and Horses, established 1744 and still going strong.
Grosvenor Square is home to the Wetherby family. This is where recent Timothy returned after getting some shocking news.
The family carriage transported the brothers to their home in Grosvenor Square. It was an imposing building built in the classical style at the turn of the century. Recent Timothy jumped out of the cab and hurried up the front stairs to the oak front door with its large silver claw knocker. The family butler opened the door with a welcoming smile, but they were unable to return it. Grosvenor Square was one of the most fashionable residential addresses from its construction in the early 18th century until the Second World War. It's always had a strong American presence and then later Canadian. The Americans and Canadians have now moved to other parts of the city, but there are other embassies in the area. We were hoping to choose a house to be the home of the Wetherby family, but there are only two of the older houses left, and neither of them is suitable to be the home of the Viscounts of Clawfeld. But the Wetherby family aren't the only characters connected with Grosvenor Square. In the season of Gold Dust and Gilt, we first see the square through the eyes of the Cartwright family.
When Sarah Cartwright and her family visit London,
They come to Grosvenor Square as tourists in an open-top, horse-drawn omnibus. They love to look at houses and dream of living in one of their own one day, but they've never seen houses quite this grand before.
What do you think, Sarah?
They're too grand for us, Mama. I can't even imagine living here.
Rhys and Timothy attend the first ball of the season in Grosvenor Square. They walked across the grassy square as the first carriages pulled up in front of the Langleys' handsome townhouse. Lights were shining from every mullioned window, and there was a queue of people waiting to enter. Inside, the ballroom was filled with pretty women in décolleté gowns and wide skirts in every shade of pastel, swirling to the music between the stiff black suits of the men.
Regent's Park is the setting for many dramatic events because it is the home of Rhys's cousins, the Kirbys, and Richard Hunsford Kirby, who has been raised by them. They have an Indian heritage, but there has been a total estrangement between the two branches of the family. Rhys and Timothy were kept in a complete ignorance of their cousin's existence.
Rhys made his way to Regent's Park, looking for the home of his cousins, the Kirbys, whom he had never met. With nerves jangling, he circled the park and found his way to the address. Rhys studied the house, wondering if he had the right to turn up unannounced and claim a family connection. He was ready to apologize, so he took a deep breath and approached the front door.
Regent's Park was one of the first garden suburbs designed by John Nash, James Burton and his son Decimus in the 1830s. The Kirbys would have enjoyed the zoo and canal and ornamental lake and met their neighbours in the park and at church.
There were many churches around Regent's Park, but St. Marylebone Parish Church was the largest, declaring its presence with its three-layered steeple that boasted a clock, a temple, a cupola ringed with golden angels, and a weather vane on the top.
This church is the scene of a secret rendezvous using the Duke of Portland's private box, which was right up there on the left. But how do we get up there? Stuart Harrison, the senior verger and building manager, will show us the way.
It would have been an open staircase. As he went up, the walls wouldn't have been here.
Okay, up we go.
And the box itself, slightly smaller because we made the office bigger. So, we just... So there would have been a separate door for him, but now it's through the office.
Okay.
We've modernised.
Yes, well you'd have to.
And this would have been out to his box, which is a little bit smaller now. But this would have been his box with a view of the congregation and a view of the
minister.
The ministers.
Let's look at the congregation first.
So
Beautiful.
We had a view of down here and the altar there, and the rector's family would have been sitting in the box opposite.
Ah, they could wave at each other. Perfect.
So this may not have been here actually.
The altar.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I think the altar was put in
1860
later.
something. So the church would have stopped technically here then,
Right.
So he would have probably looked then at the altar right down here actually, and that's why the cross is there. So it could have been that the altar was here, so that's why his box is here, because he'd have been overlooking the altar.
And everyone would have seen him, of course.
Yes.
They would all have been watching him during
So
the
the
service.
altar at his time would have been the same altar that the poets, the Brownings, got married at.
Okay. Yes, and I believe Charles Dickens came here and Florence Nightingale.
Yes. The font, and that's the font that Charles Dickens' children were baptised in. Horatio Nelson's children, or daughter, sorry, and Lord Byron. So back in the time you're looking at, that's how the church would have looked without the altar that we have today. Because if you look, there's no apse on the end of it.
Yes.
We have our corridor of famous people related to St Marylebone, and in our kitchen we have a picture on each door with who the person is and a brief bit about them. So Nightingale, Mary Seacole,
Yes.
they're all associated somehow with Marylebone.
Or suffragette. Good for her. Thank you so much. The Duke had his own private entrance as well. Very handy. The Kirbys come to this church for all their family events, including an Indian blessing ceremony, and they cross the park afterwards in a colourful, noisy procession.
The bridesmaids led the way, swirling in their colorful silks to the fast tempo rhythm of the double-ended barrel drums. It's not an Indian wedding tonight. It's Brigadoon!
Henny and Wallace Watson would have loved this, and so do we.
Go home, go home, go home with Bonnie Jean. Go home, oh, go home with Bonnie Jean.
This is a good place to end the London leg of our tour.
We're heading off to the country in a camping cart. My characters are heading for Australia and a whole lot of trouble.
When first we left old England shore, such yarns as we were told, as how folks in Australia could pick up the lumps of gold. So when we got to Melbourne town, we were ready soon to slip and get even with the captain. We scuttled from the ship with my swag all on my shoulder, Black Billy in my hand. I travelled the bush of Australia like a true-born native man. We steered our course for Portland town and off to Ballarat, where some of us got mighty thin and some got sleek and fat. Some tried their luck at Bendigo and some at Fiery Creek. I made a fortune in a day and spent it in a week, with my swag all on my shoulder, Black Billy in my hand. I travelled the bush of Australia, like a true-born native man.
Come with us as we tour the English countryside on day 5.